If you're seeing this, it's too late. My pedalboard has already been disassembled. This was the final iteration of my pedalboard, and I am happy to memorialize it with this. You want to know how I got my guitar tone, which sometimes sounds like these examples. Then this is the right video for you. And if you want some insight into how to build a board of this size and wire it and power supply and all that other stuff, this is also the right video for you. And if you're interested in buying some of these pedals, I'll put them up for sale when I'm done with this so that you can enjoy them as well. And maybe I'll show up at a show one day. You'll have that pedal on your board and I won't even know that it used to be mine. And it'll be making even cooler music than what I ever made with it. The really fast rundown, if you just want to know what I'm working with and none of the details, is as follows. Guitar goes directly into the TC Helicon Harmony G XT vocal effect pedal. It takes my guitar so that it can generate the harmonies. Coming out of there, we go into the oldest pedal on my board, the only one that I bought before I think I even turned 18, the Boss NS2 noise suppressor. I use the loop. Send starts with the Henrietta Engineering Orange Whip compressor. Love it. Then into the TC Electronic Polytune. Then into the Electro-Harmonix Nano Big Muff. Not the Nano Muff, I think that one's orange, the Nano Big Muff. Then into the Moore Hustle Drive. It's an OCD clone. Then into the JHS Morning Glory. I don't know if it's V3 or V4. I just know that it was the limited edition hand-painted one with a pretty little phonograph. Then into the BBE Sonic Stomp Mini pedal. Hold your judgment for later. Back into the noise suppressor's return. Now out of the noise suppressor, the Maxon CS9 Pro stereo chorus, my actual secret weapon. Stereo out into the Korg SDD3000 delay pedal. Stereo and MIDI out into the Strymon BigSky. And then only audio out, I don't use MIDI after this point, into the Walrus Audio ACS1 amp and cab simulator. I am ampless. I have been ampless even before I got this pedal. I don't have to carry around amps. And for that, my life is much better. And just directly out of those into front of house, whether it's a DI box, Stage Snake, an audio interface, mixing board, whatever. And it's all powered by the Chucks DC7 power supply. I even got the red one. Shelled out an extra 20 bucks or whatever for it. The detailed overview now. All of the cabling is either HOSA pancake cables. I know they're not perfect, but they get the job done for me. Or the Lava solderless build-your-own cables that come in a kit. Before the piston kit, these are the ones where you'd screw on. There's like a little pin and it hurts your fingers. It's terrible. I got my girlfriend's help. I think maybe at some point, maybe my brother might have helped me construct one. It's just, they're not a great experience. It's difficult, but it's worth it to have the exact cable length you want. And then if you have a pedal board that's sort of solidified, you don't have to change them ever. I used to keep my vocal effect pedal off of my pedal board and I would have to hook it up and provide it its own power at every gig. And that just got old eventually. I decided that there were some pedals I wasn't using on my pedal board and I removed them in favor of getting my vocal pedal on board. And it is a dream because it's just one thing that I pull out now. It is also powered by the power supply. I can't recommend that power supply highly enough. It's really, really good. The NS2 noise suppressor is something that if you have the space on your board, I always recommend getting a noise suppressor. This was one of the first pedals I bought. He might be the oldest pedal, she might be the oldest pedal on this entire board. And that is because when I was a teen in my parents' garage, just making noise, I remember hating that buzz and that hum that would come when I stopped playing. You know, I was researching on the internet, everything, and everyone was telling me, you need a noise suppressor or you need a noise gate. Lucky me, I think I spent like some birthday money or something on the NS2 noise suppressor by Boss. It has stayed on my pedal board since I was 17 maybe, for a reason. I really value the quiet, clean moments in a song or in an entire performance. I think that they are what make it enjoyable for non-musicians to show up and not feel like, man, it's all just buzzing in here. Man, this really sucks. Like, I think they enjoy things feeling, for lack of a better word, just polished and professional. Worth every penny. And it's the same one I've had since I was 17. So it's clearly built very well, and it can take a beating. Not that I beat my pedals. I don't do that. I break the cycle. Coming directly into the loop is the Henretta Engineering Orange Whip compressor. This guy is based off of the Orange Squeezer compressor from like the 70s or something. It used to be this box that could plug directly into your guitar or your bass. I think it was more popular. There are some other clones out there. I know that a lot of the guitar nerds have like fawned over a few compressors in the last decade or so. This one, however, I found and I trusted based off a single demo. It has internal controls because it's designed to be set it and forget it. I leave it always on. It is set really well to really handle my Strat, which is a 60s reissue. For me, it made my chords sound just a lot more consistent, and I like hit a lot of clean chords in the music that I make. And for controlling palm muted single note lines, you know, like dunk, dunk. So that was really valuable to me. It's also so little, and it takes up such a little cube of space. He used to be underneath the board. I used to hide him underneath. Once I decided to get rid of some other pedals, there was room for him on board, so I brought him up to the top. He got to crawl out of the basement. This is gonna be fun to figure out. Where the hell are we? After this compressor, which I recommend so much, we get the Polytune. This is cool. This is new tech. This wasn't around when I was a kid. And I remember when it came out, I thought, no way. I've had it ever since. It's good enough for me. I know there are better, brighter displays now that make it easier even on dark stages or maybe in daylight stages for you to see. But I've always loved my Polytune. The Nano Big Muff was something I had wanted for a while. Well, let me rephrase that. I wanted a Big Muff for a while, but they're so big. They're big pedals. And I didn't want to sacrifice the real estate on my board. As soon as they announced the Nano Big Muff, I was so stoked. And I think someone bought one, reviewed it, and then just put it up on eBay as like used and knocked off like 20 bucks from it within the same month. So I bought it. It's practically new, but technically used. The Moore Hustle Drive is the OCD clone. I had no idea when I bought this that the founder of Fulltone would go off and become so disliked in the guitar pedal community due to some like weird comments he made. But I got the Hustle Drive because it's a mini pedal and the OCD is a larger pedal. And as you can tell, I like mini pedals. I'm able to hit them with my feet. My shoes are narrow and it's easy for me to click whatever I need to click. The JHS Morning Glory, you know, save your judgment for JHS, but this overdrive is pretty great. And there aren't many other overdrives based on the Blues Breaker that do what it does. I wanted one from the moment I heard one on the internet in like 2009, 2010 maybe. And I waited so long before actually getting one. I saw this one that was a limited edition hand-painted version, and I knew, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I shouldn't pass this up. So I grabbed that one. Know that this company comes under a lot of scrutiny, but I bought it used, so don't come for me. First time I ever heard one, I think I knew right then and there that this was going to be something that could help me get the sound in my head into a lot of songs that I would write. For that reason, because I do not know of a good software emulation or a good multi-effect pedal that can recreate this type of overdrive, I am keeping him or her. I am keeping this pedal because it's really special to me. These three make up my gain staging section. I'm not one of those people who stacks a lot of overdrives, and it's not like, I need a subtle difference between this section and this type of overdrive. No. It's purely that the big muff is for these soaring lead tones if I want it to have a lot of sustain and sound like David Gilmour or something. Or if we are playing a song that is not my usual style of music and I need something heavy, the chugga chugga, I can dial in the big muff to do that for me. The hustle drive is sort of where we're comfortably seated in some type of alternative rock or indie rock. Type of setting. It's like, look, man, this is not even close to clean. Like, this is just like a drive. It's a drive. And the Morning Glory is the one that I would use if I don't want to have a completely clean sound. I want to be able to strum really hard and for it to then break up. That is what the Morning Glory is for. But I do play clean a lot as well. So sort of 4 facets of what my foundational tone is. The BBE Sonic Stomp, I know, will incite many opinions and discussions among people. I try not to fall into the pit of analysis on it, becoming, too much of a nerd about what does it really do? I try and just ask myself this: does my guitar sound better with it, or does it sound better without it? Things I play, the way I play, the pedals I put in front or behind it, it sounds better with it. I had the big square version back when that was on the market. It took up a lot of space on the pedal board. I made the sacrifice for about a year to not have it on my board, and I missed it so much. I really did miss that sound that it gives it, that when they announced a mini of it, smaller, compact, that could fit right here, I got one immediately. I don't know if I got this one used. If I got it new, it must be because it's so inexpensive, but I probably got it like a demo or something with $10 off. I don't buy a lot of things new, it looks like. I like it so much still to this day. Even though it's on the bottom row, I don't turn it on and off. It stays on all the time. Love it. I use it in plugin format whenever I record things digitally. I like the effect that it has on treble-y stuff, like a guitar. From here, we're back into the return. So using the actual loop of the noise suppressor is something that I have noticed increased quality of audio from when I first did it back in 2014 maybe. And there's no going back. If I ever have to play with a lot of pedals, I will always have a noise suppressor and I will use its loop. It's just really great for keeping all that buzz down. Once we leave the noise suppressor, this is where we go into stereo land. I started playing in stereo when I had a Line 6 DL4 and I wanted to test the ping pong delay. I think I borrowed like a DI box from someone, and I put one of my signals going through a PA speaker that I had, as opposed to a proper guitar amp, but it didn't matter. Hearing in real time things come out in stereo, it just converted me immediately, forever. I think that stereo is just incredible. I think it's what we all want to hear when we hear music. We want to hear it recorded, certainly, but I think when we do hear it live, something feels much more alive about the signal to us. Since we're back here, we're going out into my chorus pedal. So I wanted originally a chorus pedal. That's all I wanted. It was actually the Wild Nothing that got me into chorus when I saw them randomly in New York, opening for another band that I really liked. I forget who though. I remembered who opened for them though. I think chorus was just starting to come back as an effect during that time. This might be 2011 maybe. And I waited a little bit before getting a chorus pedal because I had an amp with built-in chorus. Cheap. I just wanted to try one of these Maxon pedals, right? It's because I thought it was cute that they have this lovely lilac, lavender, purple color. What was available on eBay at the time, someone was selling the stereo chorus. I didn't realize how important this was. I bought it thinking, whatever, it just has more features, but it's just another chorus pedal. Set the chorus and let's get warbly with it. No, this pedal is actually the secret to my tone live. In a live setting, this pedal is everything to the way I play. It is not just a chorus pedal. Because it is a stereo chorus pedal, there's a magic knob on here called delay or delay time. Yeah, delay time. It separates your left and right audio signals and it delays the right one so that you get a perceived stereo effect that's more noticeable for your entire guitar signal. And if you start playing in stereo, and you have 2 amps and you set them out wide and you adjust the delay knob to offset them to whatever the sweet spot is for your setup, you immediately sound like you're filling up the room in a non-offensive way. It's not like you've just cranked a guitar amp and everything's loud. No, it's like you created space and the guitar is sort of surrounding you really nicely. I mean, you will hear in a sec. I'll turn it off. And then I'll turn it on. And you can hear that difference. This is the pedal that when it was added into my chain, almost every single show that I played after that, where I used this pedal board, somebody, a musician or non-musician, would come up and would be asking me, like, how did you get that guitar tone? Or like, your guitar sounds so great. How do you do that? Wonderful compliments. And I know that a lot of people would say like, well, I love this driver, I love my guitar, it's this compressor. It's not that. I know what they were asking. I think what makes my guitar tone sound nice is, my compressor and my drive and my guitar pickups, whatever. I know what they're asking. They're asking, how does a guitar played live at a venue sound somehow more polished and professional from one band to the next? And it's because we were running stereo amps, or we were running just, ampless, but stereo. And I had the delay time to spread it so that you feel like the guitar is coming from 2 places, just a little bit off. I'm talking a lot about this stereo chorus pedal, but that's because it truly is like my secret sauce. There are a couple other pedals on the market that do what it does now, and I would recommend, if you have the capabilities to go stereo, do this. I don't even use a lot of the chorus on it anymore. It really is here for me to tune based on the room I'm in and based on how wide my speakers are physically set apart from one another. It's here for me to tune the delay time and give me that stereo image. Single knob called delay time. It was the key. It was the key to me finally getting the sound that I'd always wanted out of the amplifiers, out of the speakers for people to hear. It never goes off anymore. I tried turning it on and off in some shows, but I could tell that people were looking like, what happened to the guitar? Feels like it just sort of got like castrated. Well, I guess it did in a way. So it's always on. The stereo begins out of it as a result. And the Korg SDD3000 pedal is such a beautiful tool for me to have been so lucky to stumble upon. I wanted a delay pedal that could do a lot of stuff. I had a DL4, like a lot of folks did during the, I don't know, what would we call this? The renaissance of guitar pedals. I wanted something that could do even more things than it could. It doesn't have the looper functionality, but it has this beautiful preamp built into it that a lot of people talk about. And you can use the preamp even when the delay is off. And the preamp is just really nice. It's just enough push and bite. It reminded me of the Exotic Effects EP Booster or the JHS Clover pedal. And that is something that I'm going to have to figure out how to recreate when I get rid of this pedal, because that was a really, really great sound of the guitar. I'm gonna have to figure out like virtual preamps or just another preamp pedal that sounds good enough. Maybe the EP booster. It's small. And it had a delay function that I thought I was gonna use all the time when I bought this thing, and I do not use it. I almost never use it, which is what's gonna make me okay with selling it. It has a left, center, right delay, where instead of ping-ponging from the left or right, or just going in one direction, it sends your original signal, and then it goes left, center, right. Left, center, right. It does that, which is really cool, but you're working in a pattern of threes. So unless you wrote your song in 3/4 or 6/8, or you have set up some type of hemiola to happen in a section of your song, it's not that useful. Cool to play around with, but I should have seen that. I was younger, I was more foolish. The other thing is that this pedal was the reason that I finally got into using MIDI program changes on my pedal board. This pedal can speak to other MIDI pedals, and it can be sort of the main one as opposed to the one that receives it. It can be the sender. And for that reason, I'm able to switch settings in a set for different songs. Go to the setting for, the next song, song A, song B, song C. It would change the setting on my reverb pedal and on my amp emulation pedal. And that is just very, very valuable when you're talking about a world where so many of us are always like, man, I'm just tap dancing all the time on my pedal board for everything that I want. How can I make this cleaner? People buy like those switchers, put them at the bottom so that they can switch through all the different permutations of their pedals in the chain. This did it for me for the last 3 pedals. All I'd have to worry about at that point is choosing which drive I was using, because remember, the other stuff stays on. Something really special about this Korg SDD3000 pedal that is hard to believe is that I bought it online from Universal Studios. And I was like, how the heck? Why would they be selling this? It said like props department or something. I was like, what? I wondered, okay, well, maybe they used it in the studio to do the audio for a movie. Or maybe it's a prop in a movie, actually just in the background. I don't know. When it arrived, it had a lot of superfluous paperwork in the box with it. I think clearly someone was just tasked with getting rid of this, just sell it, whatever. And it has a card on the bottom of it from a movie studio. It tells you what movie it was used in. Straight Out of Compton. So this pedal was used either in the studio or as a prop in the movie Straight Out of Compton. Wow, that was embarrassing. Straight Out of Compton. And that is just like one of the coolest things ever about it. I left that card on the bottom of the pedal. I can show it to you now. I'm never gonna take it off. I'm gonna sell it with that card too. I'm not gonna charge more for that, but it's such a cool little part of its history. I really like that. It's some of the most street cred that I have now, actually. And I'm about to sell it. So, well, there that goes. I know it sounds like all the more reason for me to just keep it forever, but dude, this is a big pedal. And it's something that other people will absolutely use and absolutely have good purpose for. So if you want something from the movie Straight Outta Compton, and you want, in my opinion, one of the best delay pedals you can get, or you could have gotten on the market, I believe it's now discontinued, it's this one right here. Anyway, I love this pedal. Coming out of here, I use its MIDI capabilities to change the presets that I have on it and the Strymon BigSky reverb. So I know. I'm a basic bee for having the Strymon BigSky reverb, but hear me out. I actually really do love ambient music, and I always have. And I'm just a huge reverb fan. I always wanted a really diffused reverb. And when the Blue Sky came out, my best friend bought it. So I thought, well, I kind of have access to it. We can play around with it a lot. I had no reason to buy one of my own. And then a couple of years later, we no longer lived together. We were roommates, and they came out with the Big Sky. And I thought, yeah, I should just go for it. So within a month, I did buy it new. It is the one that if I were to look at all these pedals, I paid the most for, because it's the one pedal on here, aside from the noise suppressor, that I bought brand new. They were not on the used market yet. It had come out and had only been out for like a month maybe. But I knew I wanted it. I knew that I would use it forever. And here I am, still using it to this day. I will sell it, however. So I'm not going to use it forever. So this one was bought new by me. And I've kept it in great condition. I mean, look, I haven't, this is dorky, I know, no judgments, please. But I have left the plastic on the LCD screen. I think I thought that it would just get so worn out that one day I would need to take it off, but I haven't yet. And I don't really step on the pedal much at all anymore either, because it's being controlled by MIDI by the SDD3000 pedal. I also used the cab filter a lot before I found my now final amp and cab simulator. I used the cab sim on here, and I used 2 preamp pedals to go stereo into it. It was a complicated era. But it's so great. It is so good. It is just as good as everyone tells you it is. There's a reason why you'll see it on touring boards across the world of professionals, across countless genres, because it can do everything. It's so good. I have not found many other pedals at all, maybe one, that have things that are close to the bloom and the cloud reverb settings. And that's a big reason why I kept it. I made the mistake of falling in love. And I wrote a lot of songs that were dependent upon the sound of the bloom and the cloud reverb. There are just no other reverb pedals that do that. I think the Earthquaker Devices Afterneath comes pretty close, but I think it's mono. We love to think that, oh, it's been like a decade since it's been out. There has to be something else that's better already, you know? I don't think so, man. It's a great pedal. After that, plain and simple, the Walrus Audio ACS1 amp and cab sim. I searched forever for all-in-one amp and cab simulation. I just wanted to go ampless. If you've hauled 2 amps to lots of gigs, you will know that it gets old really fast. But you can't give up the sound because everybody loves it. Not even just you, the crowd loves the stereo sound. So I needed to find a solution to give me stereo cab simulators, stereo amp simulators. When a big boom in the market happened and it seemed like a lot of companies were all making amp and cab simulators, I got to try a number of them. And I didn't know which one I would land on because I think it's so dependent on the way you play and the guitar that you actually use going into the pedal. I did not know I would land on the Walrus ACS1. I'm so glad I did because it's a little more compact than the other ones. And I'm all about saving space on this thing. And I have it set up, of course, stereo amps. One is like a Fender, one is like a Vox. I have another setting where one is like a Marshall and the other one is, I think, maybe a Vox as well. But you know, that way you can get your like chimey, jangly, while also getting your drivey or your spanky. You know these dumb words that we use to talk about amps and everything. You know them. He is the newest pedal on the board. I do regret that I did not get to play more shows with him because he's a really good pedal. He's built really well. And bright lights, there's a boost functionality on him. I really like him. I do regret not being able to play more shows with him. That's the entire chain. And then we go stereo out, straight to front of house, no amps needed. And it's all powered by the Chucks or Chalks DC7 digital, let me see here. Chalks DC7 power supply. It's the red one because I shelled out the extra 20 bucks to some random online store that got those limited edition red ones. I will tell you this. I have searched for power supplies for so long that could power the Korg SDD3000 perfectly. Give it enough milliamps that it can actually use its preamp the right way it's supposed to, or you can keep it on even after you don't use the delays, while also not having this function where the voltage ramps up, but instead it just starts and just goes, because that can trigger protective measures inside of some digital pedals to say, whoa, this is like weird power. It's not reliable. We're not going to accept it. This pedal is finicky with some power supplies. It loves its own power supply, of course, and it works with a Voodoo Labs digital power supply. But I wanted something that could power this whole board, including my vocal effect pedal. And I tried some other great reliable power supplies, and they did not power this delay pedal. This delay pedal is so important to me because it sounds so good for what I play. And then I finally found the Chucks DC7, and it does work. And it's pretty slim too, which is a great feature. Last thing I'll add is that this pedal board itself has 2 modifications to it. This is a modded board, bro. In order to get a little bit more height so that cables could run underneath it without ever scraping the floor, I got the rubber feet for crutches on the internet, I think. They're just black rubber feet that would go on the bottom of crutches. And I super glued them to the already small rubber feet that were on the pedal board itself. This gave me an extra 3/4 of an inch, maybe a full inch of height. And it's great for clearance of cables going underneath. The other thing that had to happen is that this is an older pedal train pedal board. This was before the era of everyone having power supplies and everything underneath and making a Tetris board out of their pedal board. And for that reason, it didn't have a hole on the back where an IEC cable could come out to power everything, power the power supply, which then powers everything. It was solid metal, 2 layers of metal, a little farther apart from one another. I needed my girlfriend's help to get a drill with a cylinder bit. I don't know the proper term for this, but it's a cylinder bit. It cuts through metal. So we made a hole through the pedal board to basically create what is now standard on a lot of the pedal train pedal boards. Either a hole or they just build it with space in between the rails for you to actually use. So anyway, it has a hole. It's great now. It's modded. It has served me well. And I think whenever you're like a 22-year-old and you don't have a lot of money to go buy a different board just to update it for one feature, you find a way. I'm excited to have shared this culmination of everything. And I'm excited to see where these pedals end up.